give a state of play or something.
Well, I think Jeremy does because he was at the meeting this morning. So, Jeremy, I hope you'll bear with us watching it twice, but it's only 5 minutes.
Absolutely fine, George. I'm good.
Yeah, he's already said he wasn't going to pay attention because he's already been here already.
Okay. So, really, just to pick up, I think Fraser's been involved for a little while, but maybe not as far back as when we started the meetings. So I'll skip through this. Basically, when we started in 2021, we were asked by the government to work with the Golden Thread Initiative to actually define what information was required for assets, and therefore what we actually did, we went to people and asked them what information would you, Martin, for example, what information would you need on an AOV? And it's actually quite difficult to answer that question because people will say it depends. It depends on the circumstances, the context. So what we did, we ran a whole range of different Teams meetings and came up with the documents that you've seen. We also went through them in some detail in some in-person meetings like these, where all of those people there are manufacturers. We've got people who are designers there, including Paul McSolly there, the legendary, and operations people in the back. So what we then did, we then took that information, and these are the standard questions that we asked across all of the 12 asset types. What risk does the particular asset type mitigate? What do people do to these assets to stop them from working? What information do we need to know about it to ensure it performs as required? What procedures and activities are required? What level of competence is needed, and also how should product changes be recorded? So this is what we came up with 4 years ago, and we've basically captured the information against those for fire doors, cavity barriers, and obviously what we're doing here, we're talking about dampers and AOVs and the like. What we've also done subsequent to that, we've had a couple of specialist teams looking at certain asset types and producing some detailed guidance. So these have largely come out of the NHS, so they've been repurposed for BIM for residential, and quite high quality documents. And if anybody wants these, then you can download them off the BIM4Housing website. And we've also, this is new. I think, Paul, you've contributed to this, haven't you? This is one on dampers, fire stopping, and cavity barriers. Similar sort of quality of information. The important thing about the golden thread, which is the context in which we're talking about this asset information, is that you need to be able to look at how systems and components work together. And you've seen this many times where we've got a fire breaks out in a kitchen. The thing that we're trying to protect against, in principle, the most important thing there is to stop smoke from getting into a stairwell and then probably killing people. And therefore, what we need initially is to make sure that we've got good compartmentation. And therefore, anybody that's simply focusing on fire doors, for example, which we hear a lot, unless they're looking at the walls, the cavity barriers, the penetration seals, etc., then all of those need to work. And when they fail, we need a proper smoke control system, we need detection systems, and we need signage to help people get out. So this is the philosophy of the golden thread: systems of systems that work together, and also holding the information about those in a joined up and connected way. So we can then federate information that's coming from lots of different sources, and then we can make sure that the asset is then protecting those spaces. So that stairwell there and the office there, those are what's being protected by that individual door in that individual wall. And what we've tried to do is make it so that rather than I hear it all the time where people say, well, we've got a golden thread because we've supplied the fire doors and we've put a NFC code in it. So therefore that's the golden thread. Whereas what we're actually saying is that the information needs to be usable within lots of different software applications that are doing maybe inspections. And we've then got that information all referenced back to the same asset. So we're building that information. And the prism through which we've been looking at this recently is the fire and emergency file, or Regulation 38, where by law, you're supposed to have an as-built plan that shows where all the fire critical assets are. And I've yet to come across one that actually does that. Also, by law, the regulation, the building control or the regulator should be asking people to sign a declaration to say that they've got all the information and they've received it all. And also, the contractor is supposed to sign a declaration. Now, people are signing these declarations, it appears, but not actually checking. So we're trying to simplify it and say, okay, these are the asset types that are mentioned in the regulations. And therefore, what we should be doing is auditing against that. So the task force that we've created is there as a group of knowledgeable people who can work together to actually be able to check these things. And yeah, that's where we're at. So I think now what I'd like to do, I think hopefully everybody's on board with that. The information that we've been collecting over the last, we've published over the last 4 years, and that was reviewed in 2023, I think is probably the most complete set of specific information about these safety critical assets. If anybody's aware of anything more complete, please let us know. But what we now want to do is to make sure that is that information being understood. There's an overwhelming amount of it, because if you talk to Paul, for example, about ventilation assets, you know, it could go on, you know, you could take days, couldn't you, in explaining the detail of that. So what we've tried to do is distill it down into something that's consumable. And what we now want to do is run a quick poll to see whether what has been produced, whether you're seeing it on projects that where it's worked. So we're can we start the poll, Richard?
Absolutely. Jess, can you put the poll up? Right, Jess has put the link to the poll in the chat. So if you could all click on that link, then we can go through the poll. Okay, have you all clicked on the link?
Yep.
Okay, does the asset information you create, receive, retain for this asset type include, right, just this is, we're including all the asset types in this group. So it's not just fire dampers or smoke dampers, it's the, what was the other one, Jess?
AOE.
AOV, sorry. Okay, so it's AOVs, fire dampers and smoke dampers. We're lumping together here. So does the asset information you create, receive, retain for this asset type include Type reference, classification, and unique ID reference. How often do you get that level of detail information on those asset types? Type reference, classification, unique ID reference.
Or
What
how often do you think it's actually being provided, Paul? Say.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because I don't generate or receive any of that. Obviously, we haven't spoken for a while, but you're aware of the new DW145,
Yes.
which has sample schedules in it, and I'm still having to refer people to those. So yeah, okay. I'll put an
so if you just put
25% then. Yes.
No, that's exactly what we want, because
because I have seen one and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move down to question 2. Right, how often do you receive precise location data? Precise location data, the XYZ location data. How often do you receive that?
If I could just put a context on this, we're working on a project at the moment and there are 140 dampers in one space.
Yeah.
And without the XY and probably Z locations, but certainly the XY locations, you don't stand a chance.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've still only seen drawings, to be honest, but they've been there, so yeah.
Okay, so how often do you get or create or retain information that has precise location data? Okay, number 3. How often do you get information on the asset types that relates it to the fire strategy? How often do you get those information on those assets that relates the asset type to fire strategy? How often do you get that? Okay, number 4. How often do you get manufacture and model, certification and test data? How often do you get that info? Yes, Paul?
At what stage?
At handover.
Oh, at handover, right at the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
right, okay.
It's about asset management.
That's likely to be higher. Okay, yeah.
But it needs to be for that asset.
Yes.
So that product for that asset.
Yeah, I suppose, yes, right, yeah.
Okay, question 5. So how often do you get design, installation and commissioning records?
That would be different. So 100% commissioning, 100% install, 0% design.
Right, okay.
That's interesting. Are you saying that's a really important point, Paul? Are you saying that the what it was designed to do just isn't provided as a set of information?
I don't think so, not at the moment, not very often. That's why what we've been trying to encourage with DW145, that you have a design schedule, and then that starts telling you the other information, like the manufacturer and the installation method, and more critically, as usual, the wall. And the design information would say it's a slipping risk, and you wouldn't necessarily get that, although that's what we need to say, you need a fire damper with an S classification.
Yeah.
But what I see regularly is areas where they've put in just normal fusible link fire dampers, and they've got, as a for instance, phased evacuation.
Yeah.
Which means that somebody's either made the wrong decision, but you've got no reference to the actual design decision. It's just we're having these, install them and commission them.
How
So-
would that normally? Sorry to. This is really important to me for me to understand. How would you expect that information should be provided? Would that be that wouldn't simply be as a MBS spec, would it? You'd need the strategic decision.
And this yes, that's the point. Okay, so the MEP specifications, I call them kitchen sink specifications because they just put in every standard they possibly can, so they don't leave one out.
Yeah.
And that's not design, because then this is where we get into where you know, potentially things are changing, but we've still got this contractor designed portion, and we know hopefully that that's supposedly changing. And we also know in parallel to that, a lot of people are saying, well, approved, but with changes. And the issue that we have with that is if somebody hasn't allowed you the space to put in the product at the design stage, you can't solve the problem. So so that the design information and the selection is sitting, if it's there, or if it's certainly not passed on, because if it was passed on, then you'd know what the installation was, and you wouldn't be relying on the installer in a commissioning to choose the product.
Yeah.
And so the quite often what we have at the moment with design and build or contractor design portions is, without realizing it, they've done the design work and selected a product.
Yeah.
But they're not worried about passing that information on. They just need to know that somebody's installed something. And that's and up until this point, and again, I'm not really seeing much at the forefront that that information has, generally speaking, been lost or actually never actually defined. There's just a fire damper schedule. We need 20 of these. Get them in, please. So, I mean, Martin's on the call, and just to drop him in it. But sorry, Martin.
That's all right.
You're closer to the coalface of this with smoke control systems than I am at that stage. And I mean, I have spoken to some of your colleagues, and I'm getting the impression that a lot more information is going in from your point of view, but I don't know what you feel it's like with everybody else.
Let me sort my camera out. Yeah, Paul, I was agreeing with what you were saying really earlier. The information that we get at the back end at handover commissioning, from a product perspective and a certification perspective, it is absolutely improving and is there, you know, almost to get to 100% now. But the missing amount of information is how that aligns to the original design at the front end. So I agree in principle pretty much with what you've said there.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you, Richard.
So I still don't. An average of 100% and 0% is 0, but yeah, or 50%. But I don't think you want it in that form. So
no. You got it's an average of 2 times 100, isn't it? And 1 times 0. So it's actually 66 2/3.
Right, but as I say, the point is it's misleading.
I was joking.
Yeah, I know you were, but so it's a case of you know, I'm not quite sure how to answer that question, because
okay, yeah, I don't know.
You should split them out into 3 and ask the question again.
Yeah, no problem.
So you knew you were going to be. I was going to be awkward if I came on this call. You knew that.
Absolutely.
I plead the Fifth Amendment.
Just realised I've not got my camera.
Maintenance. No. It's good, Paul. It's good. Believe me. Maintenance and inspection logs. Do you receive these on the asset types? You know, dates, methods, results, that kind of thing.
Or do you believe they're being recorded?
So I think the maintenance instructions, such as they are, probably 100%. Logs are expected to be done by the people on site, and I don't think they do them.
Yeah.
So you won't get a log provided with a product. you'll get a maintenance schedule. You might get an example of a log if you're lucky, or a reference to another document, but you won't be given some sort of spreadsheet or anything like that. And
So you've got
therefore,
no.
and even if you are, I don't think people are using them because they don't understand why they should.
So at handover, you wouldn't have a record of what's happened in previous inspections.
No, because there wouldn't have been one. But there might be now, because there may be some pre-handover inspections being suggested.
Right. Okay.
But that would be delivered as part of the commissioning report, and then hopefully would be kept on file. But as to what anybody does on site after that, that's up to them.
Yeah, I think in general, Paul, we tend to see, obviously, dates is a given. Everybody puts the date on, no matter what they've done at what stage. But we will generally see dates, and we'll see results, and results will usually be a measurement of some form if that product has that kind of characteristic. For instance, a fan, or a pressure. So where there are measured results, usually via equipment, we tend to see that, but very rare will we see the actual methodology used to obtain it. And then, of course, there are other products like mechanical products where there is no measurement.
Well, okay. Can I just clarify? Because right, this is about the assets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in other words,
yeah. Sorry, George. So if you take a smoke control system and you look at BS 9999 and 9991, it says you should be checking the smoke control system every day. That's the panel, looking for faults, which I keep telling people is a bit of a waste of time, because if it hasn't gone into alarm, you won't see any faults because everything's in the place it should be. But you should in theory be checking the physical assets every week, or a proportion of them, and I don't think I've ever seen a record of that.
And that's really the point. If we're going to run a golden thread, and we're supposed to be, and inspection is a statutory thing, and certainly for it should be a mandatory thing, then I think it's reasonable that we should expect to see records of. That's what the digital record's supposed to be.
Absolutely. So you'll probably get, if it's happened, you will get a third party report in the system. Okay. Now the issue that we have with that is the third party report in the system quite possibly tells you there's a whole load of stuff wrong with it.
Yeah.
But nothing's been done.
We'll come on to that. There's another question on that.
Yeah.
Okay, shall I move on to the next one?
Has everybody voted? Has everybody voted? Yeah.
Voted.
Selected.
Okay, question 7. Cause and effect matrices or system integration data for active systems. Do you normally receive that information? Do you receive those matrices or system integration data? What percentage of the time do you actually receive or create those?
Them, yeah.
Sorry?
Or produce them. So in the case of Martin,
yeah,
you'd produce those, wouldn't you, Martin?
Yeah, I mean, they have to be there because you can't proceed without them. But whether they get handed over or put in the system, I don't know. So they're always there. You can find them eventually, but whether they're resident sort of on site, I don't know.
Well, George, you've done this question on the basis of a handover. So do you think it should be there? They should be there?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And Paul, you're saying that they're virtually never there.
I don't know that they get to the user. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But we're working on revising 7346 Part 8 at the moment, and I've been drafting quite a lot of that, but I'm looking for a design document to be handed over that includes all of this stuff.
Good.
Right,
Okay.
So that when another third party turns up to inspect it in the future, they can see what conclusions you drew and how your design is the basis of your design, and what your cause and effect is. Because if you don't have that available, most of us would say it's fairly obvious what should happen, but there may be separate parts of the design where there's sub bits of the system that do something slightly different. I've literally just been looking at one where you've got neutralizing gas, gas suppression system, where some of the dampers have to be reopened again to get rid of that gas. Now that's very specific to that design, and if you didn't know that, you'd be going, well, why are these opening?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? So these are the sort of things that you that you see.
Fraser
Okay, so-
and Fraser and Jeremy haven't said anything yet. Do you have a view of
George?
this?
It's Robin.
It's Rob.
This is actually Robin, in fact. Yes, it's the
Robin Fraser.
Belimo way of doing email addresses. Don't even go there.
Sorry.
Yes, it's Robin, in fact. But I do get called all sorts, don't worry.
Sorry.
No, well, from my point of view, I mean, this is a little bit out of what we get involved in at Belimo, obviously, because we're involved in nitty gritty. I was trying to answer your questionnaire here in terms of what I feel our internal techie team might come across. So I hope that's appropriate. But if it's not, I can look at it.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah, we're just trying to get a feel from the industry.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, should we move on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you receive? Where's the question gone?
Change history.
No. Change history and traceability, such as product swaps, upgrades, replacements. How often do you receive that or produce that?
Zero, as far as I'm aware at the moment.
Zero.
You just get told that something's happened. Nobody's tracking it.
I was going to be kind, Paul, and put 25% just in case somebody did.
Right. Okay.
Very low. Very low.
Okay. What about evidence of competency of the individuals undertaking works? What evidence do you get of competency of the individuals undertaking work? What
Just
percentage
pick
of
one.
the time?
I think that again, that depends on. I mean, I've got, from my point of view, very little, because some people must have it, but when you talk to people, you understand that they clearly haven't got any clue about what they're doing, particularly with fire damper rectifications. I went somewhere and somebody's rectified it by just chucking a whole load of bat in. There was no reference and they said, well, we don't know what the product is, and it was really obvious what the product was. And if you're working on them every day, then you know what the products are, or at least you should do, because you should be competent. And they just rectified something in completely the wrong way.
Interesting, though, in some areas, the level of competency that sits behind an asset is a hidden area, because the ultimate certification of that asset demands competency that sits behind its manufacturer, and its completion. So, for instance, if you look at AOV, that's the EN 12101 Part 2, and it's certified with a CE mark and a DOP to declare its performance and place it on the market with the notified body's reference on there. Now, that's subject to a third-party auditing process to complete that product, but that information of who that was and their competency doesn't sit behind that documentation to certify it and place it on the market.
I think we can vote on this and agree that I feel as though I'm steering it now, but that there doesn't seem to be a proper competency framework in the industry for doing that. So I'm going to
AOV or NCHEVs, as Martin, they're slipping through the net. I'm doing some work on that with Steve Gore at Actionair and Mr. McSoley.
Yeah.
So we're trying to put some competency in place in that, certainly with respect to the design guide. But unfortunately, because you have all these lists, if you're not on the list, you don't have to be done, and it's difficult. So,
okay, right. So we're going to do the last question quickly. Records of work. Do you receive records of works resulting from tasks identified in FRAs being completed? How often do you receive those?
How often do you think they're actually done?
Yeah. Okay. How often do you think they're actually done?
No, I don't think they have been done yet, because people still argue about having to do it.
Oh, really? Okay.
How much?
Okay, so you're going to vote on that, right? Okay.
Okay. Right. So we're now going to move. Right. The sort of the prime purpose of this meeting is to, as George said, is to check for any updates. We're not talking the vast bulk of what we've got in these documents has been through hundreds of people. In fact, I think you, Paul, were the last person to actually go through the last version, didn't you? You did that for me.
I think, Jolly, that was months ago.
It was 2 years ago. Yeah,
I was going to say years. I wasn't going to be rude. But yes.
No, it's 2 years ago.
I'll have to warn you. I might see it in a different light now, because I have much more experience.
I am absolutely sure that you will. But the vast bulk of what we're looking at are not things that change. Yeah, I mean, the requirement that X person has a level of competency to do their job is not something that's going to change in 2 years or 50 years. Well, the vast bulk of what we've got there, and probably 50% of it, actually is consistent. It may have different wording, but it's consistent throughout all our guidance recommendation documents. So it's just this, it'll be relatively minor things that we're looking at. And part of and we can't do it all in 20 minutes a document, obviously, but the purpose of this committee, as much as anything else, is to kind of introduce the documents to people who've never seen them, which that we've got in all these roundtable. And this morning, I think we had 25 people in the meeting, 20 people in the meeting, and I think probably 12 of those had never even seen these things. So it's to introduce the guidance documents so they can go away and look through it and put in any input that they have. So it's going to be a bit of a skim run through. But I suppose the most obvious thing we'd be looking at is legislation changes, official guidance changes, that sort of thing, or anything new that's happened or new that's come along. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say I think the responsibilities part of the new legislation, I don't think we were really considering that 2 years ago, and it generally speaking couldn't be clearer.
Great.
But and you know, if you select something, you're the designer, and it doesn't.
Right,
It does.
Paul, let me stop you.
Yeah.
Let me stop you. Let's do it real world. Looking at
no, that's fine. Yeah.
Right, just put up the first document and let's go straight to the beginning. So, Paul, you're saying the responsibility side. What would that come under?
Well, the legislation.
No, in terms of what we've done, we're looking at risks here. Risks that an AOV mitigates, risks that an AOV is susceptible to. So it wouldn't come under there. Would it come under information?
Well, it'll come under remediation. So if you found a risk, then how do you remediate it?
I think it's a task.
Yeah.
Task, George.
Yeah, under the section of
section
works.
3, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
George, right. Let's start there, because obviously we're going to go away and look at this separately on yourselves. But let's start there as something for the meeting that gives. We'll just skim through for people who haven't seen this. Then we go on to what information is required to ensure that an AOV performs correctly. What the requirements, specification, performance, materials, construction, installation, these are all things that we've identified, which you may look at and say that we've missed something out, or you want to, something's not correct. Okay, this is it, right? So number 3, what tasks, methods, statements, procedures are required to ensure an AOV is installed, commissioned, inspected, and maintained properly? Okay, so this is what we've got. Right, we start this off actually with requirements from draft BS 8644. I wouldn't be surprised, Paul, actually, if you added that in.
I don't know that I did, because I'm not sure what 8644 is.
Oh, right, okay. Then.
I'd take that out, or rather, no. Just make it from 8644
digital records.
What? Take the draft out.
Yeah, just take draft out.
Take draft out. Jess.
Digital management of fire safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BS 8644.
Yeah, you guys must have put that in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we had a fair few people on this, and this was also Will Perkins was heavily involved in this as well, Martin.
Yeah, this is about the this is I'll speak for Will on this one. Thankfully here, this is about the information exchange points on the gateway processes.
Yeah.
So it's the overlap of the digital information as we go through the various Reaper stages and stage gateways.
Okay.
That's why that went in.
Got it. Okay, let's scroll down a bit. So installation. Have a flick through that. Right, just stop at the top. Go back to the beginning of the installation. Right, so is there anything there, Paul, that would come under the responsibilities that you're talking about? Scroll down a bit, Jess. Okay. Wait. So basically, in terms of installation of AOVs, is there something or some angle or perspective that we should have included that we haven't?
So, sorry, what stage of the process is this? Design?
Installation.
Actually at installation?
Yeah.
So what we're saying with regards to the fire dampers and the smoke control dampers is that there should be a continuation of the design schedule against the asset number.
Right, Paul, we're going to do those next.
Where the installer signs to say that they have installed it following the instructions.
Right. And with AOVs, what it should?
Well, to my mind, it would be the same thing. that there'll be a design schedule for how they're selected. Yeah, I mean, it can be very similar to the fire damper one, and then you get into then you have the installation schedule where they install it and they take some photographs, particularly where there's anything that will be hidden during the installation. And then they give their agreement that they've installed it correctly against the design selection.
Okay.
Jess, can you scroll up a little, because you're missing the bit that Richard and yeah, that's it.
So you're looking for evidence that the installation has been carried out against the manufacturer's instructions.
Right.
Yes.
And some photographic evidence, which is the bit that's which is becoming more and more important, and people are accepting more and more.
So we need to add photographs into that as well. Photographic evidence, Richard.
Yeah. I made a note of this, George. The time, so we'll pick it up.
Good. Okay. Press
Brilliant. Thank you. Right. Scroll down, Jess, please. Right. Maintenance. Right, this is an extract from.
Yeah, that's going to be, we're not going to challenge that. Scroll down a little bit more.
I think the inspection should become before maintenance.
Yeah. So
yeah,
we
don't
need
have anything for inspection, do we?
No.
Because you won't know you've got to do maintenance unless you've inspected it.
No, you're quite right. We don't, for some reason, we don't have an inspection section. Martin, is that something that you'd be able to help with?
Well, but my comment was probably going to be relevant to documentation that's out there now, and there has been, of course, a change since the date of this document, and that is there is a new SCA guidance document out on maintenance of life safety systems, which certainly has inspection and maintenance in there now.
Is that something
So
we could copy out into this?
If you refer, yeah, I mean, I'd refer back to that document because, of course, it has been drafted by the SCA. So details exactly what you need to do.
I think we want to refer to the document, absolutely. Yeah. But what we're trying to do is make this so that it's not simply a document full of references. So I'd like somebody that knows what they're doing to look at that document and pick out some bits that make sense. Is that doable?
It's worth looking at, I would say, George, and then seeing if there are specific actions for specific assets. If that's the case, yes. If it just says visually look at it, then of course you're best to refer to the document. So it's a case of someone from the damper side looking at that, someone from the AOV side, and saying, look, are there exact instructions of what to do for visual and maintenance for that asset, or is it just generic by the document?
Is there somebody in SE that could help with that?
I think we can look at the AOV side, of course.
Yeah. Okay. And we could perhaps ask Steve Gore, for example, Paul, to do the same. Do you think?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Let's press on.
Okay. Scroll down, Jess. Right. So what level of competency training needs to be in place? And right, basically this whole section is virtually identical on all the pieces of guidance, except for on the occasion that there's something specific. Is there anything specific for AOVs? Any specific training or requirements that
it probably generally fall under the SDI 19 audited scheme, which UCAS IFC.
Right, scroll down just to see if we have
I
that.
think you've already got it in. I think you've already got it in there.
Sorry about that. They were just telling me that my car was ready. We're doing a lot of. There's a lot of work going on with regard to competency at the moment and competency frameworks. Unfortunately, AOV's NSHEVs seem to have fallen through the net slightly, but Steve Gore and myself, we've been trying to champion that to find out how we can get it back in. The other thing is that I don't know whether has anybody told you about the ASFP design guide for passive fire protection?
Yes. Yeah, we were talking about it this morning.
Yes, so that is in progress, and there will be an NSHEV section in there about how to select and design and go through the next processes.
Yeah.
But there isn't any scheme that you could prove your competency for installing an NSHEV at the moment. But we're very close to there being one for ductwork and dampers generally.
Paul, are they relating that back to the facade industry as well?
To the
facade industry, because ultimately, in many cases, that NSHEV is a tested window. Let's not call it a tested window, but an NSHEV is a window with an actuator tested to the standard. Its installation could go into curtain walling or a hole in a wall.
Yes, so that information should follow the manufacturers. But the key point is with competence, somebody has assessed that individual's capability of actually doing that.
It's a tested smoke vent going into a facade application, isn't it?
Yes, but what I'm saying is the whole point of this competency framework is to check that the people who are doing it can prove that they've been assessed into doing it right, and that's the sort of stuff that SDI 19 eventually will rely upon, because somebody's been on a course and has they've been assessed over a period of time, so that they can demonstrate that they know what they're doing. And there's also always going to be a level of CPD, continuing professional development, even though you may not consider these people as professionals in the same way that we might think. They will still need to be assessed on a 3 or 4 yearly basis to prove that their skills and knowledge and behaviour are still up to date.
Okay.
That's a hugely complicated thing.
So basically now, as right this moment, it's all SDI. It's SDI 19. It's all wrapped up in there. There's nothing else we need to include.
Yeah, but SDI 19, and they will tell you themselves, they do not assess individuals' competencies. They assess the competency of the organisation.
Right. Yeah, we've had this before, haven't we?
They'd check the certification there, Richard. They'd look for the N12101 Part 2 certification of the NSHEV, and that would tick the box.
Right. Sorry. So can you say that again?
The SDI 19 process would check the certification that the smoke vent specialist has installed a compliant product.
Yes. Yeah. But not necessarily the individuals are competent to install it. It's so ridiculous, but that's
right.
Paul, that's very, very common, right?
Yes,
across the industry.
Yes, that's not just an NSHEV.
And what we're trying to do is see, for example, there it says certification with a suitable third-party accreditation provider, and people are telling us that people like BIM4Housing aren't adequate. They're not a suitable third-party accreditation provider because they're not actually training the individuals. They're training the supervisors. So, is there such a thing?
Well,
for is there a suitable third-party accreditation for AOVs?
Just scroll down a little bit, please.
So
there's a product certification.
There's two things here. Okay, anybody can go on site as a learner. Okay, if that's the right word. So as just like a tradesman or an apprentice, that sort of level. Okay, the problem with that is that, and I'm saying theoretically, they should be under the control of somebody who is competent. So if they're a supervisor who is supervising the work of somebody who's doing an installation, because everybody has to learn, when we haven't even dared talk about any of this yet, as Martin well knows, in the SCA, we're talking about getting individuals to be able to work on their own. But
Paul, can I cut across you just for a minute?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
What we're talking about here, it's my view from listening to everybody, is that there are no certification schemes that certify individuals.
There's no route to competency.
No. So therefore,
don't confuse competency with the ability of a company.
No,
you've got organizational capability and individual
it's very
capability.
clearly, I think this is very clear. It's the individual.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's no route yet for NCHEFs.
So I think we should. I think we should remove it. Not the whole paragraph. Sorry, go on.
Right. Just wait a minute. Number F. Installers should have manufacturer-led product-specific installation training, in addition to any formal UCAS accreditation. This document isn't to say what exists now. This document is to say what we think should exist.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's that statement is true, but it also goes with the other two things as well. So that is an example of continuing professional development, not evidence of competency, because it's training. And the analogy I use, and I don't wish to be rude to anybody, particularly monkeys, but if I sat you all down and trained you, and there was a series of desks in there with monkeys on them, I would hope that I could send you out on site and you could install something, whereas the monkeys can't.
Yeah, it's very
so
right.
That's
believe
the difference
me, I've had 5 years of Debbie Carlton telling me the difference between training and competence.
Actually, it probably was the full 5 years, wasn't it?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it really has. So absolutely. So installers should have manufacturer-led, product-specific installation training. The training. So it's the training that's the problem, isn't it?
Yes.
The word. So what should we call that?
No, what's wrong with the word?
No, training's absolutely
because you
fine.
can train a monkey doesn't mean it can do it.
Yes, but that's different. So there is training. That is training, but it's in addition to any, instead of formal UCAS accreditation, it's in addition to any competency.
Measurement.
Yeah, competency certification. Yes.
In addition to any competency certification, GIS.
Yes.
Can you change the last 3 words of F?
That's good.
Competency certification.
Yeah, and if you want to put in brackets after it CPD, then put that.
Yeah.
Competency certification.
Yes.
And get rid of accreditation.
Yeah. This is
CPD. Yeah. And then get rid of accreditation.
Or put this is CPD. Yeah.
You're going to put certification stroke accreditation. If there are areas that do have accredited installers.
No, there'll be certified installers, because it's the Accreditation goes for company capability, and certification goes for individuals. I think that's about right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah,
so
that makes sense, doesn't it?
Jess, if you put this is CPD, that would be good.
In the bracket, just this is.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Okay, right. Moving swiftly on. Where are we? Let's keep scroll through this, Jess.
I think move on to the next one, Richard.
Yeah, product changes we'll leave
so
it.
just briefly going back, have we put in a heading inspection and before maintenance?
I've got a note. I've got a note of the times that things that have been said that are particularly germane. So we'll go back on those. So don't worry, we're not missing any of this. It's quicker to do it that way. Okay, right. Let's lose this one, Jess, and let's go on to. The reason I've let this run on a little bit is because smoke dampers and fire dampers are virtually identical. There's like 90% of it is exactly the same. There are obviously differences, but they're small in our document.
Yeah.
Will Pitt has told me, Paul, that there is no such thing as a smoke damper.
It's best to call them right. So soapbox out. I've just climbed onto it. FD fire damper is an integrity only damper. Motorized fire damper, MFD, with an ES classification is a motorized fire damper, and the other one is a smoke control damper because that's what they're called on the standard. So don't call them anything else because all those relate to the standards that define them.
So officially, there is such a thing.
Yeah, okay. But it's a smoke control damper. It's not a smoke damper.
Smoke control, right? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So FD, MFD, SCD. You don't need motorized in front of SCD because they have to have a motor. So it takes out all the confusion if you just stick to those three definitions.
That's fine. Well, we've said smoke control dampers, so let's get on it.
It hopefully should do if I've anything to do with it.
Yeah, I can back Paul 100% there from Belimo's point of view. Yeah, absolutely. Our CPDs refer to those devices exactly as Paul does.
Great.
So we're trying to introduce that slowly into the industry. And the biggest issue is approved document B, which still refers to fire and smoke dampers, and until that changes, the confusion will not go away.
Okay, right. I think the rest we can scroll through.
That's George. I just seen your thing in the chat. That's because Will Pitts actually listened to what I've said.
Well, that's collaborative working, isn't it?
It is. He's heard it so many times, he didn't write anything different.
Right, let's go on to question 2, which is about information. And we're looking for responsibility, aren't we?
No, I think responsibility is under tasks.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
Well, you can have responsibilities. Well,
yeah, no, you're right.
You have responsibility. There are responsibilities to have information now, aren't there? Very clear responsibilities.
I think that's a really, really good point, actually, thinking about it. Who is responsible? Should we have a named person or a named entity as the person that's responsible for all these things?
So can I just briefly share something with you? Just to help us out with this.
Who is rightly through purely on making sure that the data information is correct.
Yeah. Well, again, because I think this is what I was sort of talking about.
Yeah.
And you know, this design document runs on, and
Is this your proposal,
you're probably
Paul, or is this what's going to happen?
both well aware of what you know, Mr. McSorley's selection sheets that have got lots and lots and lots of small writing on. That's all going to go into this thing. So what if I can just show you this? It's hopefully.
Oh, sorry. Is that your proposal, or is that going to happen?
No, the ASFP is on its way.
Okay, so they're going to say that you must have this person who's responsible for the data.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
The way that fits in the government scheme of things. If you're following, this person sits here. You're following this process. This person sits here, and they're really thinking it all through. So what I mentioned earlier. Can you see that? Yes. So, for shortened indicative design schedules, whoever's designed. So you know the entity, which is the point that you were making earlier. So you're looking at. This is where you have to set the asset number. You've got a location reference, and that can be differently detailed or whatever. You've got, you know what the compartment type is, and I've already spoken to George and said you realise that each wall is now going to be an asset, or each part of each wall needs to be an asset, because if you don't know what the wall is, you can't start the whole of the process, because that's the first decision or the first thing that you've made before you continue. So, and this is for fire dampers. So you've got an FD or an MFD. The designer has taken the wall, looked at the space risk, which a lot of you will have heard about, if the sleeping risk or not. That will all be at the front end here. Then you've got the classification, a type, the nominal size, and the manufacturer and installation method X. Okay, so that's all the information. It's a bit, you know what, that's going to be probably more columns than that, but that's the kind of thing you're looking for. The point is that goes for pipes and cables, for penetration seals, it goes for ducts, and then underneath that you've got a whole load of other things like Part L energy usage, that if you use an FD, it's got less pressure drop, but if you use an MFD, you've got to consider that because the pressure drop is higher, so the fans are bigger, and yada yada yada. So that's a very, very simple thing of this. And then what you've got after that, I go to the right page, this is the installer checklist. So this extends from the design bit of the schedule, and then but you're then signing to say with a name here that you've installed it according to the design, and then you've got photo references that go in there, and you've got access confirmed from both sides. And again, that's going to be more complicated, but we didn't want to put that in the document, not in this document. So you've got your design here, and then that's expanded into your install, but you'll know which bit's there because the installer's name or the company name will be above here, as the design one will be
Paul,
there.
Is this the next stage on from the spreadsheet that Paul McSorley gave me?
Yeah, this is published. This is published. Sorry, this isn't the ASFP design guide. This is DW145, which got published in March and April.
Right. Okay.
So this is all, it's all, I'm not going to say public domain, because if you're not a member, it's very expensive, but it's public domain information that certainly all our BESA members should be following. And then we go into, as after that, this is why I keep saying about inspection. It tells you've got all the information that you've all seen before. It's very similar to tab 22, and that's all there. And then I'm going to get this wrong if I'm not. There's all sorts of other information about making sure you're putting it in properly. And then this is the actual design part where we've looked at it a bit more in depth as you're from the stuff we've had before, installation methods, etc. Section important, and we've got the same things, parts 2, 3, and 4, because that was kind of what we sat with. There's competency statements in here, and then there's a series of. So this is a type 1. Type checklist. Type that nobody likes. Previously, it works. But yeah, no image. So, and again, it's the same thing that you're following on from the same schedule for these. ASFP design guide will be out probably around the end of this year and early next year, and we'll do the design part of it. Yeah, but I just thought it was worth showing you that. I can't show you the ASFP book yet because I'm not allowed to. So
that's very worth showing us, and we'll be freezing the video to steal from it. But no, seriously, that's from ASFP. Tell me, everybody else.
No. Sorry, this one's from BESA.
Right, so
it's called DW145, and it's specifically for fire dampers, but it would be very similar for smoke control dampers.
Right, so better. That's a trade organisation.
Yeah, it's SFG20, Richard. So
okay, that's fine.
Yeah. I don't quite know how that ties in with SFG20, but SFG20 is way behind what it should be. So
what I'm getting at, is this a government initiative or is it a trade association?
No, trade association initiative. Yeah.
Great, and the members are expected to follow that, but
yes.
Right, got it. Okay, right. Let's just
and you say, we've had lots of discussions about that, but certainly what I've been trying to do recently is this. I've been telling people that this isn't necessarily now about the safety and the people of the buildings that they're doing it. This is about the longevity of their businesses, because if they don't do it properly and they get caught out, that's it. Everybody's out on the street, because it's getting so complicated and rigid that the flexibility and bluntly, because I've had to explain to people, you've gone and done a fire damper inspection. The person the building that you've inspected, the person has no idea about any of this stuff. You can't expect them to. They don't know what level of inspection they need. What they want is a report from you saying that their building is compliant. And if you've given them a report, they think it's compliant because they don't know how to read the report.
Yeah.
So you're taking responsibility for telling somebody, or they think you're telling them that it's compliant, and they don't know. That's why they put you in there.
Yeah, they haven't got the competence to make the decision, have they?
Yeah.
Right, I want to finish this document. We've got 5
Yeah.
minutes. Right, scroll down, Jess, from information. We're going to 3 quickly, which I think the bulk of which is covered. You've covered really most of this, actually, haven't you, Paul?
Yeah, it's a while since I looked at it, but yeah. I mean, I'd say I've generated no end of stuff since then. So
sure, absolutely.
I wouldn't mind having a quick look and just going through
if
it
you
again.
would do that, if you would do that, we'd be very, very grateful. You understand, we can't spend that amount. You know, we've done this, do this every 2 years, but there's only a certain amount of time that we've all got to do this. So if you wouldn't mind spending some of your time, we'd be very, very grateful.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so that being the case, we have some free time. So what I'm going to suggest is, George, why don't you just close that? George, why don't you give everybody the heads up? Because Paul's not really, Paul, I don't think Paul knows on where we're going with this and bringing the task force.
Yeah. Okay. Can you just give me a couple? Sort myself out now, Richard. Oh, a minute.
A minute we can do. We can Paul and I'll crack jokes.
Yeah.
Seriously? What's this? It's great you're on the screen. It's not. It's a seagull flying into the sun. Take a look. Looks back.
There's a trend here, Paul.
I love lovely stick jokes. Yeah.
Right. Comment there.
Yeah, we need you, George.
You can't spend the time. I'm not actually being serious, being really, really stupid, can't you?
Yeah, we got that.
Ready.
Excellent.
God.
Sorry, I landed in it, didn't I?
That's my fault. I should have been ready. It's just, yeah. So,
So many visions. He doesn't make files. He puts them on different laptops.
Okay, fair enough. One of the things that again, Mr. McSorley is pointing the fact that you can't accept non-compliant. It is, yeah. So when you start to hear things like that, it rather focuses on what you're trying to do. To tell somebody to put it, or you can't. If a wall's been built badly, you can't put something else in it because you can't. You're condoning the trade that's been before.
okay,
Yeah.
can I?
Yes.
Of course.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
George.
Yeah.
No, just building on exactly what you've said there. Where I'm trying to go with this is that the industry, because people have been waiting for the government to actually be explicit in terms of what doesn't work, then people aren't doing anything. So therefore, no, that's and that's causing chaos in the supply chains because We're working on schools at the moment, and the Department for Education are going through people like T and the like, and they're advising the supply chains differently according to how they're interpreting stuff. So what we're trying to do within BIM and asset management is provide an expert group who does understand the detail, but they understand bits of the detail, and they can work together to provide a coordinated level of expertise that they get paid for. Yeah, so that's really where we're trying to go with the Golden Thread Task Force. So, for example, being able to audit the Regulation 38 handover information at a very basic level to say, what are the systems that have been installed and do we have the right information about them? And these are the things that we think are fundamentally required. Now, you need a lot more than this, Paul, don't get me wrong. But the point is, if you're not even getting this bit right, yeah. So that's at the moment where we are with organisations that are involved, and we've got a range of lots of different PVCBs are on there as well as part of the task force. And what we're trying to do is work collaboratively to pull together, like SE Controls yourself, people in that community. And where we're going with it is to say, basically, we've got a marketplace. People have got skills, so experts to actually come up with and say we trust relationship away where maybe people are doing say so what we'll do is we bring software applications that the team can use, and we're going to license those software applications to the team so that they can use them for a client rather than them having to buy them. So the idea basically is to be able to do things like 360 reality capture, which I personally think is hugely important now, and also various different inspection apps and things like that, and stuff for doing lifecycle management. So I'm just putting that in place because I think that that's something that we can take all of the collaboration that we're doing and turn it into something that people can earn money from, Paul, which I'm sure is music to your ears.
Yes, well, I do a lot for free, so yes.
Exactly. So where we're going with this is this is just an example of what we've done just with simple chat GPT, just knowing the right prompts to make. We've taken the 12 guidance documents that we've got, which are each 20 pages, quite dense, as we've just looked at, and we've then run through and said, okay, which risks are common to each of them, which information is common to each of them. So this is just a very simple example here of being able to use AI to simplify the way information is going to be consumed. Now, clearly, there's a hell of a lot that is missing from that. And therefore, we can have various different agents that we can produce. And again, I want this to be a cooperative. I want this to be a collaboration where we can bring together people that have got the knowledge, like you, Paul, you, Martin, and then we can then develop as a collective the right requirements. You know, what do we need answers to, and why do we need them? And then we can create. This is where I'm going with it. Ultimately, to be able to say, let's have some agents that are. I'm talking about AI agents now that are representing certain stakeholders with certain information. Look, huge amount. We're doing a project where there's 7,000 documents in the O&Ms. There's about 20 BIM models, and there's COBie data, and the schedules. None of it ties up.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is use the tools that we're developing in ActivePlan, but other people are developing as well, you know, products like Mortar and various other applications, bring them together and make them a coordinated solution that can satisfy real world problems for clients. Because all too often what's happening is that people are implementing software and they are putting their own standards and their own classification and things like that in it. And therefore it becomes a nightmare because nothing matches up.
Yes.
And we're also, just finally with this, we're working with BISA, SIBSI, and there's a team of people from RICS as well to try and align Uniclass, NRM, SFG 20, and we're now adding some more to it that we're familiar with from an asset management perspective. So I wanted to share that with you. What we want to do is spin off from this activity, a follow-up session, if you're interested in working with us to turn this into something that is the next stage, because we've done some brilliant work, in my view, in the past of producing documents, but do people read them? Can they consume them?
Can I just interrupt? Just to be very clear, this isn't just about software and tools. It's very much about people, expert experience involvement, which is absolutely essential.
I'm pleased you said that, Richard, because
George.
Yeah, it was just sounding a bit software orientated, and that's part of it. But it's the people that are going to make it happen or not.
Yeah. So I mean, George intimated some of this in an email he sent me before, and it's the teaching of the AI that worries me, because it's garbage in, garbage out, like any programming is, and you need to make sure that it's very deep. And yeah, I mean, I'm extremely interested in that. I mean,
sorry, I'm going to interrupt again. The AI is not this second. Yeah,
no. But that's where it's going to end up, because things move so fast now that's people are using those are the tools that people want, and you know that's the case. I mean, one of the things that I sort of thought it through was that if we come up and we design a building, and then the first thing somebody will say is optimize this building for cost. And somebody do it, well, this was the best model, and it'll get optimized again.
They put different parameters in or something.
And the next thing we'll end up is a because it's got out of control, and it's optimized it to the extent that it has no clue there's certain things that you can't optimize.
And the more times with AI that it's working on its own data, the more times it does that, the further away it gets from the original instructions.
Yes.
Every time, even at the most basic level, but certainly at complicated level. So you have to, you do have to know what you're doing. There's no question about that. There's no question.
Yeah, no, and I'd like to have a talk with you because it fascinates me. I'd like to have a talk with you offline about that at some point because I'd love to know how it goes about it. But anyway, that's another thing. Thank you. I think
Well,
it's
what I'm going to suggest is, and what we're doing this with all people who want to get involved in this. If you want to get involved with or learn more about what we're doing with the task force and in all its forms, then put in the chat task force, and you can have a chat 15 minutes or just an initial chat with George or one of the members of the steering committee on this, and just learn if it's for you. And we'll be in touch with you very soon on that.
Yeah, I mean,
so my point of view, despite the potential that there might be some business out of it, is I just want it to be right.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I can't put it in any other terms of. It's got to be right, and it's got to help everybody, and everybody's got to keep doing the same thing. Because I'm so fed up with people saying, "Where does it tell me I have to do this?" Well, it shouldn't have to, because you should know.
Well, the more people we've got involved in the process, in the collaboration, the more right it's going to be, isn't it?
Not necessarily, but anyway, there's other pressures to make things simpler, and there's commercial pressures and all sorts of other things. That's why it's got to be right.
Absolutely, but we don't have
influence.
But we don't have any commercial pressures. We're a voluntary organisation.
No, but a lot of the people that are on that list have got commercial pressures.
Yes, they will have their view. That's the market.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah. Well, anyway,
it's a bit like standards development.
Talk to that George about that, can't you?
Yeah.
Because it's time, and I don't like to run over.
Yeah.
So yeah, put task force in the chat if you want to get involved with that or learn more about that. Other than that, thank you very much. It's been a great meeting. Paul, amazing. Thank you particularly. And I'm sure we'll see some of you at the roundtables tomorrow. If not, I hope you're all coming for the October BIM monthly forum. You'll get a video link for this and high point links and a link to this. Just to cover, Paul, if anybody has anything they want cut out, please tell us. Other than that, we will publish as it is.
I don't think I've said anything controversial today.
I know. So
I think the jokes were, to be fair.
Oh, actually, yeah, we should cut the bit seagull out, shouldn't we? We need to keep that for future reference.
Oh, okay, yeah, guys, that's all right. I'll go viral. That's fine. Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.